You know what isn't solid though? DK Jungle. I remember this quite vividly when Mario Kart 7 came out. I remember when I was like seeing other people's opinions of what they thought about the track. I remember this track being rated like really highly. Everyone thought really highly of this track. I also want to preface that I love Donkey Kong. Okay, I've played the Donkey Kong Country games, Returns. I've yet to play Tropical Freeze, but it's on my list. So I'm a Kong enjoyer, right? I've expanded many a dong in my day. But I just don't know what it is about this track that I just... It's not giving joy, but it's not giving anger, you know? Which in a normal Mario Kart game would probably just earn an inoffensive C tier. But as I've mentioned before, in a game of greats, you stand out when you're mediocre, you really do. And I'll speedrun the music part while I'm at it as well. The music's okay, but I don't really have much to say about this track. If you like it, my sincerest apologies. My opinion, this is so wishy-washy, I feel like I have to apologize. I just don't like it that much. I just don't like racing on it. DK Jungle. Ooh. When I'll rank this in my Mario Kart 8 video, I very controversially didn't rank it that high, despite it being a bit of a favorite amongst some. What was extra annoying is probably the fact that I don't think I articulated why I don't like this stage a lot in that video. But I'm gonna articulate why I don't like DK Jungle that much in this video instead. It might be a bit of a weird thing to not like DK Jungle for, but essentially one thing that I really like that Mario Kart does is that they make original concepts for stages, right? For example, whose idea was it to give like Waluigi a pinball table, or Wario a stadium, or like Yoshi a circle made out from his goddamn face, you know what I mean? It was a weird concept that they just came up with and then they just put it in the game. Again, Daisy, a cruise ship. She probably has one, she's a princess, but whose idea was it? We just don't know. But I like it when Mario games take us to like very original, like weird places that like the characters just so happen to either own, or it's just their name is just put on it. I don't know how it works. I don't know how the Mario Kart lore works, if they build the stage or if it's just the names upon it. So in the case of DK Jungle, where it's very clearly inspired by Donkey Kong Jungle Returns, for the many a theme that Donkey Kong Country as a whole, if we're being specific, Donkey Kong Country has, it's a bit annoying that they just went for the jungle theme, which is a theme that has been in Mario Kart like 1.5 times. So the fact that they did a jungle stage again, it just really irked me when I first saw this stage. And it kind of still irks me now, to be honest. Like, is it a nice reference to Donkey Kong Country Returns? Yeah, but I feel like that's all it is. So like, for example, one thing I really liked about Excitebike Arena is that they took the idea of Excitebike's level creation mode and implemented that as a mechanic in the stage itself. It's really clever they did that. Same with Animal Crossing in Mario Kart 8 as well. The whole seasonal aspect, changing the hazards and the elements of the stage. They incorporated an element of Animal Crossing in the actual way the stage was designed from the ground, you know, from the ground up. And in this one, it just feels like they took the DK Jungle, you know, they put his house there, they put a couple of the basic level 1 enemies, they referenced the giant banana that you get if you do all the temple stages. They referenced the screaming pillars, I guess, and that's just kind of it. Considering all the themes they could have taken from Donkey Kong Country Returns, the factory theme, the mine theme, those two probably being the most iconic, I would say. The minecart levels from Donkey Kong Country Returns, from Donkey Kong series as a whole, very iconic. The factory setting, I think, is probably one of the more unique settings, especially for a Donkey Kong game. They could have based a stage around one of these, but instead they took a jungle, which, again, something that they've done 1.5 times already. So this just feels like they just wanted another jungle stage and they just put Donkey Kong Country Returns assets in there. And it feels like they could have done something different if they were going to reference Donkey Kong Country Returns in Mario Kart. That's all I'm saying. They definitely did it better their second time out with Excitebike and Animal Crossing and even Hyrule Circuit. But the first time they did it in this game, I think it was a miss for me personally. That's the best way I can articulate my issue with this stage. But that's my issue with this stage as a concept and as a theme. But even to race on, I just don't think it's that interesting. And I certainly don't think this is a good opener to the Special Cup. So, very weird philosophy aside, I'm gonna leave it here. I think I've elaborated enough. As for the music, I feel the same way about the music as I did about the stage. It just feels like they're like, oh hey, let's get the Donkey Kong theme in there, and then that's kind of it. And then it's the Donkey Kong theme. Do you recognize the Donkey Kong theme? Do you recognize it? It sounds okay, I suppose, but just... Am I thinking about this a bit too cynically? Maybe. But again, the fact that in Mario Kart 8, the next game, they kind of perfected the idea of like a crossover stage, I feel this one just feels really lackluster to me. I think I'm just going to leave it and see. The instruments sound nice. It's not offensive to the ears, but I feel nothing when I play the stage or hear the stage. We go to a track that a lot of people seem to like, but I can't really say I'm that big a fan of.
Come in. Stay or go?
He has to go, blood. He has to go, blood.
A lot of people, when I said that this is a crossover track, some people are like, no, it's not. It's just a Donkey Kong track. It's like, no. I think this is very clearly trying to be a crossover with Donkey Kong Country Returns. Mario Kart 7 did crossovers in the same way this game did crossovers too. So when you look at the likes of Excite Bike Arena, Hyrule Circuit, even if you don't like them as tracks, right? I think you have to agree that in terms of crossovers, in terms of referencing their source material, they do an absolutely phenomenal job. Excite Bike has random track layouts, just like the the campaign mode of Excite Bike would, and you have Hyrule Circuit, which I think has one of the cooler gimmicks as well, in that there's like pillars that you have to hit in order to activate the Master Sword in the middle, referencing the puzzle game mechanics of the Zelda series. And this track, what do you really have that's like a cool set piece that's a reference to Donkey Kong Country Return? You go into the Golden Banana Temple. Do you know the same temple that in the original game used to take you to like a different dimension? I feel like the crossover aspect of this track is definitely not utilized enough. It makes it even more glaring how mid this is as a crossover in comparison to other tracks. I've talked long and long about how as a crossover this track sucks. What about the track itself though? Once you take away the fact that it's not a good crossover, what you're left with is a track that's just like, okay. Think about Yoshi's Island and then think about this. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm saying it's a bit mid. What do you guys think? I don't know. I'm willing to have my mind changed here. I think it's a smidge unfair to hold it to crossover standards since it isn't really what it's trying to be. Yeah, but like, what else is it trying to be then? Another DK jungle track? We've already had 1.5 of those. Half of DK Mountain is a jungle, and you have DK Jungle Parkway. If they were going to give DK a themed track, why would they give him another jungle? Unless they were deliberately trying to reference Donkey Kong Country Returns. And it was a bad job at that. It feels bland both being a track and a crossover. That's how I felt as well. And the worst part is it's even more bland in this game too, because I don't know if you guys have noticed.
I want to show you something.
In his original game, this was a Special Cup track, and I think the enemies reflected that. Like these enemies, for example, these Tiki Drum enemies, they move a lot more slower in this version, and that's to reflect the fact that it's a Banana Cup track and not a Lightning Cup track, which is understandable, but I think the enemies were probably one of the most unique parts about this. You have the frog that jumps about in a weird pattern that no other enemy ever has, and you have these like Tiki enemies that just move like seamlessly side to side. When Goombas are waddling side to side, you can see them modeling, but these guys seem to like float, so you can't really always necessarily tell like, which way is he going, where is he floating to? I don't know. But I think even the enemies are kind of mid in this version, honestly. I don't really like DK Jungle that much. I know Schaffrillas disagrees with me, but guess what? It's not his tier list. It's mine. So I'm going to put it in the mid tier. It's boring. It's boring. That was just some mindless rambling. Let's go. I don't know, guys, man. I mean, it's catchy, but... So because it's a crossover track, this is supposed to go up against this. Having played a lot of Donkey Kong games and heard the Donkey Kong theme done dozens of times, I'm holding any track that also does the DK thing to a very, very, very high standard. And while DK Jungle is very catchy, it's very cool, if you're asking does it spark joy from me, the answer is no. And as a result, I won't be as harsh as I was in my original and give it a D tier, but it's definitely on the lower end of C, I would say. I understand if you disagree, because not a lot of you guys will be as Donkey Kong pilled as me. This rendition, compared to like every other rendition I've heard of this type of theme, Jungle Japes from Melee, Palm Tree Groove from Returns, you can't help but be a little disappointed, I would say. I'm fully willing to admit this is just a me thing. The track still sucks though.
You know what? I'm tired of all these people generally agreeing with my opinions. Let's get some dissent in here. Raise your hand if you're not a fan of DK Jungle. Ooh, here we go. It's Sir Musty.
One of my favourite parts about Mario Kart is the weird locations they use for tracks. One minute you'll be racing on a planet made out of cheese while the locals wonder, and then the next minute, New York. So explain to me how Donkey Kong, Mario's oldest rival by the way, either only gets a jungle or a mountain. I already think it missed the mark in 7, and as a retro Mario Kart 8, I think DK Jungle didn't get the glow up it needed. And as an homage to Donkey Kong Country Returns, you could have picked literally any other world theme. So in the end, I'm both mad and disappointed.